Now on Monday, our teaching point was great readers use their genre frames to determine the precise main idea. And we did this in order to really get to the deepest meaning of the text and to understand the text fully. And then yesterday, on Tuesday, we read Little White Lily, and we made sure that we used our main ideas to answer questions about the text. Today, our independent text, or our shared, semi-shared text, is The Rose That Grew from Concrete. And our teaching point is actually going to be the same. The great readers use their precise main ideas to answer questions about the text. Now, the biggest thing is why. Why is it that we're keeping this teaching point? Why is this teaching point that we're using our precise main ideas to answer questions about the text? Why is it so important?
It's important because with the precise main idea, we have the deepest meaning of the text instead of small parts of the text.
Absolutely. And so you're focusing in on the entire text, not just a small portion, and you're able to fully understand what the text is all about. We read the bridge to Terabithia. Who remembers the main idea for the bridge to Terabithia?
The main idea was nature can calm us.
Absolutely, that nature can calm us down. We were able to get that based off the problem and the solution that happened within the text. And so let's look at question 1. Alana, what's the very first thing that I do with question number 1?
The thing is you have reference to the number.
Absolutely. So I'm covering up my answer choices and I'm writing out my question number. So I've covered up my answer choices, and then I am now looking at, I need to now invest in this question. Alexis Lopez, help me invest in this question.
We know it's character change, about Jess changing his mind of the forest.
Okay. And there's something else that we're missing. There's something vital to our understanding that we're also missing. There's one key word.
Why?
We need to highlight the why. Why did Jay change his mind about the forest? Now, Cassie, we know as great thinkers that we don't want to get swayed by other people's answers, and we don't want to be told how to think. And so what do you think the answer is? Plan and predict for me.
I think to plan and predict, I would write Jay changed his mind because L told him to like listen to the forest, and then that the forest is like haunted in a good way and not in like a negative bad way, and that like relates to our problem.
I love that you did that. Rocketeers, she did what great strategists do and great thinkers do. Oh, make sure you go back on mute. She went back to our genre frames and identified that this is actually closely related to our problem in the story. So now I'm looking at my answer choices, and I have answer choice A, B, C, D. I want you to take a moment. Miss Patel just moved it. I want you to take a moment right now, and I want you to figure out what is the correct answer and why. And then also, what is an incorrect answer and tell me why. Go ahead and put it in the chat box now. What is a correct answer and tell me why? What is an incorrect answer and tell me why? I'll give you 2 minutes. We've got 1 person ready to go. 2, 3. Great job, Afia. Great job, Pedro. I love that you disproved an answer choice and really tied it back to investing in that question. All right, 10 more seconds. 9, 8, 7, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Who would like to share? I'm going to call on JL. Joshua. Go ahead and share. What do you think the answer is and why?
I think the answer is B, because it's telling us that how Jess's best friend is persuading Jess into thinking that the forest really isn't haunted. It's just that it's haunted with good things and not bad things.
Absolutely. And then Pedro, I saw that you disproved an answer. Which answer choice did you disprove and why?
I disprove C because it doesn't show any character change, and what we want to see character change.
Absolutely. And so you guys heavily tied this back to the problem within the text. And then you also, Pedro did a phenomenal job looking at like different answer choices and realizing, wait, this one actually doesn't show any character change, so it's not correct. And so Rocketeers, the correct answer is B when looking at this problem, because it shows, while this isn't said by Jess, it's said to Jess. And it's changing Jess's mind about the forest and why, because his best friend like persuaded him, like Joshua Lopez said. Great job. Today we're going to be reading a text titled The Rose That Grew from Concrete. I'm going to stop sharing my screen. Rocketeers, I made like a makeshift document camera. It's literally a can of tomatoes and a stack of books from my pantry and then my bookshelf. So it looks a little funny, but there's a screen that has the poem underneath it. So if you want to double click on that and make it the entire screen, that would be great. And so you can read along with me as we read and jot. Remember to have your SRP set up and that you're jotting as we read. I'm gonna pin video. Cool beans. The Rose That Grew from Concrete by Tupac Shaker. I want you to take a moment, skim this text. What is your genre and your genre frames? About 10 seconds. Make sure you move with purpose. 10, 9, and make sure you're putting it down on paper. 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Cassie, what genre is this text? Oh, bring your laptop a little closer.
This genre is poetry.
And what do you look for in poetry?
We look for the literal meaning and the deeper meaning.
Great, say those again with your hand gestures.
Do
it with her.
We look for the literal meaning and the deeper meaning.
And the deeper meaning, absolutely. So I'm going to read this all the way through once. I want you to listen and follow along. Did you hear about the rose that grew from a crack in the concrete, proving nature's laws wrong? It learned to walk without having feet. Funny it seems, but by keeping its dreams, it learned to breathe fresh air. Long live the rose that grew from concrete when no one else cared. I think this is such a beautiful poem. This is actually in my top 3 poems that we read in 5th grade. I love the poem, The Boy in the Bed in the Dark. I love this poem. And there's one more that we're going to actually read this week that I absolutely love. So let's jump in. We're going to read the first stanza again, and I want you to write down what is literally happening in this poem. Did you hear about the rose that grew from a crack in the concrete, proving nature's laws wrong? It learned to walk without having feet. Stop and jot 10 seconds. What's literally happening here? Great. 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Someone jump in. What's happening here?
In this stanza, what's literally happening is that the rose is growing from concrete without any feet.
What else is happening in this section?
I'd like to build on Christopher's idea because
the learn to walk without having feet is actually personification.
Ooh, I love that you identified that. So does the rose literally have feet, and is it like walking around with no feet? No, that's absolutely it. The use of personification. It's giving human-like qualities. I want us to look at this line specifically. Proving nature's laws wrong. What does that mean? Like, what is it doing? Nature's laws, just to name it for us, are basically things that are absolutely true. Like the sun will always rise, the moon will always set, that birds always migrate. There are some things that are always, always true, and those are like nature's laws. In order for plant, like a flower plant to grow, it must have water. That's a law. So what do we realize about this rose? What is it doing?
The rose is breaking the rules.
Yeah, it's breaking the rules and doing the impossible. So on a deeper level, put one finger up if you think this poem's about nature, two fingers up if you think this poem is about an experience, like a person's experience. All right, great. I see a lot of twos. This is an experience poem. So what can we learn as people from this section?
We can learn to be persistent.
Persistent, even though what?
No, it's impossible.
It's impossible. Oh, Ms. Patel's struggling to write with such little space, but that's okay. Be persistent even though it's impossible. Like, we're going to hold that in our brains as we continue to read. Funny it seems, but by keeping its dreams, it learned to breathe fresh air. Long live the rose that grew from concrete when no one else cared. Stop and jot what's literally happening here, and on a deeper level, what's happening here. About 15 seconds. Great. 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. What's literally happening here?
The rose kept his dreams, and then he learned to breathe. He learned to breathe, but no one cared. But the rose still kept growing because he was persistent, even though no one cared about it.
I think you did a phenomenal job tying both the literal and the deeper meaning. So no one really cared about the rose, but it kept its dreams. Like, I know that on a personal level, like if my cousins were not invested in my dreams or like didn't care about things that I wanted to accomplish, I probably get like really like hurt and I might not want to accomplish my goals. But that's not what this rose is doing at all. Like, even though no one cares, it's keeping its dreams and it's staying true to itself. And so on a deeper level, like Nahili said, she did a great job tying her understandings in this stanza back to her understandings in this first stanza. She said, continue to be persistent, even though like it is difficult, we can be successful. So after reading this poem, I want you to come up with one sentence, and actually I can do it on the top of this page. I want you to come up with one synthesized statement as your main idea. Overall, what did we learn from this poem? Spend the next 30 seconds and write it down on your papers. All right, 10 more seconds. 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Pencils down. Lopez, talk to me.
The main idea is to be persistent.
Respond, evaluate. Christopher.
I want to build on your idea, Joshua, that you have to be persistent, but you also have to be persistent in things that are sort of impossible.
I don't see, do you guys agree? What do you guys think? I see some people agreeing. Thank you, Emily. Thank you, Dan and Diana. Oh, the whole front half of this class. Absolutely. I think this is a great like synthesis statement as to our main idea. Like we should be persistent, or people should be persistent even though it seems impossible. Right, I'm not gonna provide you the EdSite code in the chat. And I want you to get started on your multiple choice questions. Oh, give me a second, let me copy and paste it. I want you to make sure that you're like working through links. And here is the code. Great. Make sure you're working through. If you're not on mute, I want you to make sure you're on mute. I'm not sure what I just heard. I'm not sure if I appreciated it either, so make sure you're on mute. And go ahead and get started. I'm gonna have a couple conversations with some students. All right, hi Cassie. Talk to me about question number 1B. I noticed that in part A, you put down the correct answer and that you were like heavily looking and invested in the main idea. Talk to me about part B.
Part B, I first thought it was C because it said
Funny it seems, but by keeping extremes.
yeah, so
And we're trying to prove our main idea. Oh, I can't hear you anymore.
for B, I changed my answer to B because B showed me that that he was he was persistent to reach his goal.
Absolutely. And I think when looking at these answer choices, it comes back to us heavily investing in the question and tying everything that we're learning back to our main idea, like our teaching point says. So next time, just make sure that you're heavily thinking, how can I tie this question back to my main idea? Does it prove my main idea to be true? Cool. What are you gonna make sure you do next time?
Next time I'm gonna make sure that I invest in the question and I tie tie my questions back to my main idea.
Phenomenal job. Keep working and we'll touch base in a moment. All right, Rocketeers, now that everyone has submitted it, we're gonna very quickly go over question number 3. That is not question 3, question 1, question 3, right here. You guys did a phenomenal job with question 1 and question 2. Question 1, you guys scored 88% of you got question 1 correct, and 90% of you got question 2 correct, so give yourself a pat on the back. That's awesome. So 1, the correct answer was C. 1B, the correct answer was B. Question 2, the correct answer was D. Now I want us to spend a moment to look at question number 3. Question number 3 reads like it does on the screen. Proving nature's laws wrong, it learned to walk without having feet. Which statement best describes how the personification in the lines add to the meaning of the poem? Choose 2 answers. Now, Healy, can you help me invest in this question?
Which is how does the
personification add to the main idea, add to the meaning of the text.
And I love that you were able to say like meaning is actually the main idea. What does personification mean?
Giving an object human qualities.
And then someone else jump in. There's something we're missing. Am I ready to move on? What am I missing?
You have to choose 2 answers.
I have to choose 2 answers. Great job. Now I need to plan and predict. I think of like, how does this add to my main idea? Proving nature's laws wrong, learn to walk without having feet. What part of my main idea was proved here? Someone help me out. Which part of my main idea was proved with the personification?
The part where it says that you have to be persistent to like overcome or like achieve the impossible things.
I see that someone else was raising their hand.
I would like to build onto your idea, Curtis. I agree with when you said it was impossible, but specifically succeeding throughout hardships.
Oh, pause. Now, remember, we're not looking at the entire text. We're only looking specifically at these 2 lines. And I know that's something that we've been working on as a class. We're not going to pay attention to the entire text in this moment. We're going to look at these lines specifically to see how does the personification in these 2 lines add to our main idea. I do love that you're thinking flexibly. However, when we invest in questions, it says to read these lines below. And so we're looking specifically at these lines. So now I'm going to look at my answer choices. And so as I look at my answer choices, I need to think, there are 2 answers that I have chosen. Now, Ms. Patel's actually going to name it for you. Now, none of you of you chose C or D. You said, nope, Ms. Patel, that is not a correct answer. Those are just wrong. And so that's really impressive that absolutely nobody chose C or D. That the rose found a way to walk even with no feet, and the rose found a way to grow even though it didn't have any feet. You guys realize that that was the literal meaning, and we know personification is a form of figurative language, and so we need to dig deeper and how does it add to our main idea. So you guys were stuck between A, B, and E. Now I want you in the chat box to type an incorrect answer and tell me why that answer is incorrect. Between A, B, and E, which is the incorrect answer, and tell me why. Type in an incorrect answer and tell me why. I should probably continue to share my screen. I apologize. Great job, Afia. Great job. Ooh, you guys are now crushing it. I love the way you're thinking. Great job, AW. All right, I'm gonna have you pause. Initials CR, initials AW. One of you guys said the incorrect answer is B. One of you said the incorrect answer is A. And so I want you to unmute yourself and defend your answer. Which one is incorrect and tell me why.
I think that A is incorrect because it says that it talks about the rose, and the rose is part of the literal meaning. So I think it's incorrect.
That B is incorrect because It doesn't show any sort of personification that the rose has.
I disagree with you, Christopher, because it's not supposed to, I meant CR, because it's not supposed to show that there's personification. It's just supposed to show how it adds to the meaning.
All right, now I want you to evaluate both of them. Like out of the two, who is correct, and tell me why.
I think Kayla is correct because.
Oh, Salman, you're cutting up, so go ahead and put yourself on mute. Someone else jump in.
Kayla is correct because.
You can do this. You got this.
Kayla is correct because there's one under A that's incorrect, that the rose has feet. That means literal meat, and in this way the rose didn't have feet.
Absolutely. And so y'all, whenever we answer questions, we heavily tie it back to our main idea. So when looking at these answer choices and you're stuck between A, B, and E, A would be incorrect. The rose has feet and can accomplish great achievements. The first part, the rose has feet, is very literal. And we know that personification is not the literal meaning. And so it doesn't necessarily have feet. And so the correct answers are B and E. So B reads, to accomplish great things, one must learn to overcome what is difficult. And so we saw that, and that was actually in our prediction and our plan. And when necessary, one must achieve the impossible. That once again, closely aligned to our plan and prediction. Rocketeers, you guys did a phenomenal job. And I'm actually gonna tell you guys what you scored. Give me one moment. I'm just gonna very quickly look at it. All right, drum roll on your earlobes. Ready? Go. And you scored, your goal was 70%, and you scored, oh, EG, I don't see you drum rolling on your earlobes. You scored a 90% mastery on this. Y'all, that is phenomenal. You have been applying all the skills that you've learned throughout this entire process. And the cool thing is, if you guys remember back to the first couple of weeks of school where we struggled with main ideas, like heavily struggled with main ideas, you now are getting to a point where you're able to find the main idea using our genre frames and our genre thinking, practically applying that to multiple choice questions that we have. That is so, so impressive. I'm so proud and so excited for you guys. For the rest of the day, you're working on your OLPs independently, finish your language board. See, a majority of you have actually already turned that in, and you're ahead of the game. Remember, 20 minutes light sail, 20 minutes Lexia. I will stay online if you have any questions, but other than that, you guys are free to go. I'll see you bright and early tomorrow morning at 8:30. Log online. Bye, guys.